In this video, I'd like to share a little bit more information about the Canada-Ukraine authorization for emergency travel, the benefits of it, and the key aspects that are going to, well, they're going to make your lives a whole lot easier as you're trying to navigate your way to Canada. Now, this course is focused on the people that are outside. There are definitely measures that are going to be available for people to extend their stay as visitors, workers, as students. But those details will be covered in other courses. But for the purposes of this exercise, we are just talking about the authorization for emergency travel. So let's jump over and let's take a look at the backgrounder. And like I said, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. There's a link below to this information, and for sure the government will be updating it and changing it. We know why this exists, right? We know why it is. The whole reason for this is to help families, Ukraine nationals and their families, to come to Canada, to be able to get here to receive safety and protection. And so who can apply? It applies to Ukraine nationals as well as their family members. And this is the important part. It can be of any nationality, the family members. And who are they? Well, their spouse at this stage. Okay, and this, we're not sure how this is going to expand, but right now it's a spouse, common law partner of a Ukrainian national, their dependent child, the dependent child of their spouse or common law partner, or a dependent child of their dependent child, which is basically a grandchild. So these are family members that can be any nationality of a citizen of the Ukraine. Now let's take a look at the benefits and features. Okay, so the key thing to remember once again that this is available for not just the citizens of the Ukraine, but their families that are coming to Canada from overseas. There are provisions, like I said, for people that are in Canada. You can apply for a free visitor visa. There's no cost to this. And you can stay in Canada for up to 3 years, I should say. And the reality is, if this craziness doesn't end soon, there's no doubt that Canada will allow people to stay as long as they need to be safe. And in the past, if it wasn't for this, you'd have to apply for 6-month authorization for stay and then continuing to extend it every 6 months, which doesn't benefit anyone. Once again, the why are they granting it for up to 3 years? Because they know that people are going to be here, are going to need to stay longer, and it's just a waste of resources to have people reapply over and over again. Remember, it's free of charge. And one of the most important things I want you guys to understand is that there's an open work permit that's available with the visa application, basically enabling you to find work as quickly as possible. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. There's a place where employers can register to hire citizens of the Ukraine who are coming, which is really cool. So you're definitely going to want to pay attention to that. But the goal here, I don't think I would ever recommend anyone not to apply for a work permit at the same time they apply for a visitor visa, or this temporary emergency authorization to travel. I don't care whether you're 95 or whether you're, 20 years old or whatever. The reality is it's going to be valuable for you to have that. Ultimately, if you choose not to work, you've got other family members that are working, it doesn't matter. I recommend that you get it. There's no fee. There's no cost to this. The goal you can see here is to process the applications within 14 days of receipt of a complete application. You must understand that this is emergency. This is fast. Everybody's rushing, but you have to do it correct. If you make mistakes, it'll be delayed. It will definitely not be processed in 14 days. And I just had a meeting 3 days ago, like I said, on March the 17th, I think it was, Sunday, Saturday, the 18th, Friday. I'm recording this on the 20th of March. With immigration, and they'd indicated that these 14 days here are business days, which makes sense. Now, it could entirely be possible that it happens faster, but realistically, 14 business days are what they're shooting for. And they're still trying to figure out how to triage this stuff, how to do it fast. And one of the things that they were speculating that they may even be able to issue the authorizations at the time of collection of biometrics, which would be pretty unbelievable. We don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see what happens. All right, next thing are exempt from Canada's COVID vaccination entry requirements, which is a huge thing. Initially, they weren't going to do this. But you still must meet all the other public health requirements. So I'm not going to go into those in detail. The key is that you just don't have any communicable diseases or things like that. Ultimately, you may have to abide by quarantining and testing when you come to Canada if you do not have or cannot meet Canada's COVID-19 vaccination entry requirements. So pay attention to that. And you can see here, with limited exceptions, all travelers to Canada, including anyone arriving under the CUAET, must also use ArriveCAN. And I have a separate course that is designed to help people navigate their way through that. But really, it's not rocket science. So whether or not I reopen that up or not, we'll see. But anyways, just keep that in mind. And those instructions will be in the actual letters that you get at the time in which your authorizations are actually approved. Then another thing is medicals. You're exempt from medicals. Now, when you come, you may be required to complete and pay for a medical test within 90 days of arriving in Canada. But, especially if there's, like you said, communicable diseases, things like that. But ultimately, the medical is waived, which is just one other burden taken off of your already so stressful situations. Ukrainians and their family members who acquire or already have temporary status in Canada, you can extend all these things. I'm not going to get into those in detail, but you have the ability to remain if you're already there. And then all Ukrainians and their family members will have most of their application processing fees waived, like we talked about, including the visa application fee, the biometric fee, work and study permit fees, visitors. All of this will be waived. And you'll see when you're completing your application form that there will be sections where it says it costs this much. And then when you say, yes, I want this and this service, ultimately the price will be zero when you choose the Canada-Ukraine authorization for emergency travel. When you choose, this is the application process you're following. And then IRCC is going to prioritize these applications. And this is an interesting part here, may apply for permanent residence under a variety of different streams. And this is why coming and getting a work permit is so important, because we're not sure exactly how things are going to play out, but while you're here and as you're working, you may very well be able to qualify for other permanent resident programs if you choose to stay. Now, we know most of you and many of you are going to want to go home and rebuild your country after this crazy insanity is over. But remember that there are distinct advantages to hitting the pavement running, starting to work in Canada, and then giving yourself options. And that's what we're here to provide. In the links, you'll see there, like I said, there's always places where you can go to get pro bono assistance. And our firm is one of many that have volunteered our time. Just follow the links on the CBA site and you can get help to that. And we can even help you to assess and answer questions about what those programs could be. Please, you guys, be careful. Don't start paying money to anyone until you've had a chance to leverage and use the pro bono services. There are so many representatives out there that are, in my mind, exploiting this situation, trying to get you to pay money up front to help with this process. Just kick them loose and shame everyone that's doing that, because it is not cool at all. Now, if you truly have a pathway forward, you feel you might qualify through express entry to immigrate to Canada or another pathway, or you've got a Canadian spouse and they're going to sponsor you as a Ukrainian citizen, that's totally fine. Go ahead, book whatever you want with a representative. But if anyone's trying to use this to leverage paid work for their firms or their offices, not cool. Okay. And then have access to IRC's dedicated service channel. So when we click on here and we open up this link in a new tab, you can see here that there are methods for you to send web forms, phone numbers, everything here. And you can even, due to call volumes, yes, it's long, but they'll collect calls for you. So that's the number that you call, 613-321-4243. And you can see the timelines. That's for help from the government. Sometimes it's hard to get through, but that's available there. And then also instructions for the web form, which is another mechanism as I open that up for you to be able to reach out. And once again, when you log in and you request the information or answers or questions or whatever you want, someone is going to be there available to answer that web form inquiry. Okay. But everything within this course should set you up so that you get everything you need and you can do it all in one spot. All right. I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to talk about when it comes to the, to this basic information. I guess maybe I'll just touch on just a couple other things here. You always must remain subject to visa and travel requirements. So if you need a visa to come to Canada, then that's what this emergency travel authorization is doing. It's granting you a visa to be able to get on a plane and come to Canada. But they're still going to do background checks, including biometrics and security screening. So if you're inadmissible to Canada for any other reason, if you've got criminal records or things like that, that can delay the process or even prevent you from coming. So be aware of that. At all cases, in all situations, answer all questions truthfully. Okay, the CUAET is for Ukrainians and their families, like we talked about, to help them. It's not a refugee program. This one is a temporary authorization to allow you to stay in Canada, to work, study until things get better, and then you can return home. Or alternatively, as options open for permanent residents, you will have the ability to transition into them. But remember, it's not a refugee program. Anyone who's telling you, hey, apply for refugee status, do not do it. Do not do it at this stage at all. These programs are here to help you so that you don't have to go through that program. And there's a whole lot of issues with that. There's no cap to this at all. If you meet the requirements, you're going to be able to go through. And remember that anyone, as you gain that valuable work, then it could set you up, like it says here, for future success through the various permanent resident programs. And our firm and many others would be happy to explain those to you. We're waiting on what's going to happen with the family sponsorship processes. They're just giving extra information, including that they are sending more staff, they're sending more equipment and supplies to set up mobile biometric collection kits and units. And so you will see that when you get your biometric letter, and we'll get into this in a little bit, that request may tell you to go to somewhere where traditionally Canada doesn't have a visa application center or one of its partners. And so these mobile units are being set up where the majority of you guys are at. And remember, this is an online application process. And so Canada's waiting to see where people kind of are congregating to. And obviously many, many people are flooding into Poland, but there's so many other countries and places, and Canada's in many instances has these mobile units to help get the biometric collection to the places where individuals are at, so they don't have to travel around trying to find a place. Okay, and you can see they're adjusting operational offices across the globe, and obviously the visa offices in Ukraine are closed clearly, and so it's for people that are able to be outside Canada, and yeah, online options are available for most applicants. Okay, and you can see here, even you can see IRCC can issue a single journey travel document and a temporary resident permit for those without a passport or those who hold an expired one. So if you have an expired passport, all is not lost. There are still mechanisms for you to be able to do this. But remember, it's always on a case-by-case basis. It will take longer. It's under exceptional circumstances, and it's always up to IRCC. They have discretion to choose what they're going to do. Okay. Now, they recognize for sure that some immediate and extended family members of Canadian citizens or permanent residents may want to start a new life. And so IRCC, like I said, is developing a special family reunification sponsorship pathway. And that we expect, like they told me 2 days ago, Sunday, Saturday, Friday, my boy, this is all a blur, isn't it? That these programs are going to be coming. So we'll watch for that. Okay. And then here's the reference to the employers that are being set up in the job bank for Ukraine. And this is its own kind of site to help employers and Ukrainian job seekers. So definitely check that out. And then let me jump back to the screen where we're at. And then they're going to continue to engage with the provinces and territories as they, work together. And I'm having discussions with the Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program and the Minister of Employment and Immigration here at the end, well, really about 10 days, I guess, or 9 days, I have a meeting with him to talk about all of this and how Alberta can help and offer suggestions. And it's one of the unique privileges I have, I guess, in a way of volunteering with the CBA and being involved and giving all of that pro bono help. Is I have opportunities to give it, direction and advice to the people making these decisions, which is kind of cool. And then, of course, always the links, we will put links everywhere. Now, remember, I want to remind you that this is super important, you guys. Avoid becoming a victim of fraud. It makes me literally sick to my stomach to know that there are people out there that are exploiting you for their own benefit. And we, as an immigration law firm, yes, we make money helping people file applications. And when you come here and you're settled and you've got a great job and you're working, and you decide to apply through Express Entry or to sponsor a family member, whatever it might be, even the new PR program, well, we are absolutely going to want you to hire us and pay us to help you with that process. But when it comes to this emergency measures to try to help people who are fleeing, do not trust anyone that's charging you a fee for this, nor to help you fill out this application form. It just makes me so angry. And I've heard of a number of representatives out there. I don't know, or I can't isolate all of them, but understand there is no fee to be considered for any of this. And only the government of Canada can request personal information and decide your eligibility. There are no agents or consultants acting on our behalf. So remember that. You can hire a representative, yes, and you can even pay them if you want to. It's your choice. But there are lots of resources to help you, including this course. So please, please do not be duped. And as I indicate right here, this is all the information about fraud that I just talked about. Okay. All right. So that's an overview. And this went a little bit longer than I intended to, but this is just some of the benefits, how it's structured as of today. We fully expect that this is going to evolve and change. And that's why the community group is so important for you guys to stay a part of and to share everything that you learn, because no one knows anything about this except you guys who are on the ground and us who are going through the process. And we've got people that we're helping, and even our own staff members and their families. And that's where we're getting our intel from, the limited experience we see from going through the process for them. And we're sharing everything we know in real time. And so pay attention and share this with anyone. Especially pay attention to the community group. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.